Well, today I'm so happy to welcome two extension agents, although they are food systems and safety agents, or directors. And first, I'd like to say welcome to Faith Israel. And you are a food systems and safety agent, and you are based in 3 counties. I think your home base is in Richland.
That's correct. I'm home based in Richland County with additional duties in Fairfield and Kershaw counties.
Okay, and then Dr. Kimberly Baker, thank you for coming all the way down from way in the upstate. And I think you oversee this whole program and make sure that we're meeting all the needs, because there's state needs and federal needs. There are lots of things to ensure that food is safely served and preserved.
That's correct. I'm the Food Systems and Safety Program Team Director.
Okay, well, I'm so glad y'all came. Faith, y'all have a new program, I think, that really addresses something that a lot of people enjoy, which is being a volunteer and also getting more in-depth knowledge of how to preserve food.
Yes, we have a new program called the Master Food Preserver.
All right.
And it's a certification for volunteers to come in and to learn and give back to the community. So they're going to be our extension of the extension agents to go out in the community and teach adults and youth how to safely preserve food.
All right.
Non-biased, research-based information from South Carolina's Cooperative Extension and the USDA.
All right. And then, Kimberly, tell me about this program and what's actually required to complete it.
Sure. So this program is for people who already have experience with canning. So they've already come in with some basic knowledge of home food preservation, home canning, and then we're going to teach them to go a little bit to the next level, understand that science a little bit more. And that's through a course that is an online course, and then they finish up with a 2-day in-person training, and then finalize with some volunteer hours where they get some hands-on training through our agents and through our team to be able to be that extension of the team to go out in their communities and be basically a peer leader within the canning and the food preservation area.
I know, Faith, you grew up really enjoying 4-H activities, and I know that in the summer, 4-H leaders often have summer programs that I imagine somebody who took this course, Kimberly, could go in and help the extension agent, 4-H agent, do that, but also do it to adults in the community as well. Is that correct?
That is correct. I have recently offered a youth canning class where we did jams and jellies as well. So having that additional person who is certified to come in to provide that instruction will help provide outreach and be in communities where we are not at currently. And
there's a lot to this, and I was saying that I grew up and people were kind of afraid of pressure cookers, but not everything has to be canned in a pressure cooker. So let's talk about some of the different ways that food can be preserved, Kimberly.
Sure. So an example that we have here today is an atmospheric steam canner. And so most people are usually familiar with the water bath canner. And so all the foods that are prepared and canned in a water bath canner can also be canned in a atmospheric steam canner. So we have recently started teaching about that steam canner because only a few years ago was it approved for consumer use.
Now, what kinds of foods can you use this for?
That is only for foods that are naturally acid, like our fruits, and any acidified foods, so like our salsas, our pickles. So anything that would go in a water bath canner could also go in an atmospheric steam canner.
And when I was younger and growing a lot of tomatoes, at that time we thought you could preserve tomatoes safely this way, but you say those rules have changed, interestingly.
Yes, the rules have changed that tomatoes can still be canned in a water bath canner or a steam canner, but they need to be acidified. So that's with the addition of citric acid, lemon juice, or vinegar.
And that's because the composition of tomatoes has changed over the years with some of these new varieties that have been introduced that people are so interested in?
That's correct. So depending on which ones you're using, then you have to definitely acidify, and then you can do the water bath canner, steam canner, or you have the pressure can.
Okay, and I guess if we took your course, we'd learn how to test it to be sure that it was acidic enough by whatever we'd added to maybe tomatoes.
We would talk about that science behind it. For consumers, oftentimes they're not going to understand, how to test pH. So we talk about using a science-based recipe and why we need to acidify those tomatoes.
Okay, so it doesn't. You don't have to get a PhD to understand how much acid to add.
No, not in this level of canning. We do that when a consumer wants to go to the next level and actually sell their food.
Okay, well let's jump around a little bit because we could go to pressure canning, and that's what I think pressure cookers have evolved, and it's a very safe way if you use them correctly.
That's correct. Pressure canners are for our low acid vegetables, so like potatoes, carrots, soups, and our meat. So that's primarily what we're putting in there. And yes, if they're properly maintained, then they can definitely be safe to use. So a lot of times in our pressure canning classes, we're teaching people how to be comfortable with them. And a lot of times I recommend to start off with just some water and just get used to how to use the canner before actually putting any food in there.
Well, that's a good idea, because that way you wouldn't ruin half of your wonderful vegetable garden produce.
Exactly.
What a smart idea. And then what are some other ways that we preserve food?
Well, in the certification class, we're going to be doing some fermentation. It's going to be one. Yes.
What's an example of something that would be fermented?
One typical thing is like making sauerkraut.
Okay.
And then we're going to be doing some freezing and some drying, because everyone doesn't want to preserve the pressure
that's true.
canner. So then if you have the space, then you can do that as well.
Okay, well, that's a lot of fun. And my children out in California are eating a lot of kimchi. Is that a type of preservation?
Yes, that also is a fermented vegetable.
It is.
And it's become very popular, and we have a lot of questions usually about kimchi, so we'll be able to focus on that as well.
Okay, so the online course, do you have to be there every Tuesday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon to take it, or is it self-paced?
It is self-paced, where each module will open up and you have a week to complete that for moving on to the next module.
Okay.
So we're going to be about a 10-week class, and then we'll have that in-person 2-day intensive where everything that they've learned, they can go ahead and get their hands on into the class and make some products and get comfortable with the equipment.
So that one there, y'all are then going to actually have them going through these steps with the different types of preservation, and they're going to learn how to do it safely.
Correct.
And properly. And then there's a period of time in which they're going to be giving back. And I just think that's so nice. Some people say, oh, if it's worthwhile, they'd pay somebody to do it. I think there's so much joy to come from doing something as a volunteer. And these days we've come through such hard times, and to have a way to get back and connect with community and perhaps make some new friends, I just think this is a wonderful idea.
It sure is, and it gives somebody, someone that is already canning, that chance to go out and teach others about it and share the joy, because a lot of times it's not even just the method of preserving that we're looking at, but just the fun that we have at looking at look at what you've done, look at what we have produced, and to be able to share that knowledge is just really special.
I think so. Well, I think y'all are special to come down here and tell us about this. And if people want to know about how to sign up for the course or to get more information, where should they go?
They can go to our website, and they'll be able to get to the registration link from there, as well as more information about the course.
Okay, well, thank y'all for making the trip down, and I hope that one of these cans is going to go home with me tonight.